bitch, scratch me. Fuck you, cat.
I mean, I can put my camera on here.
We could. I don't have sound on camera. All right, hey, so we're live now. Should we do the show?
Okay, yeah, I can. Hold on, there's a. I can't. I don't think it's running. There we go. Yeah, there's that big fucker.
Ready?
It's a beast. Yeah.
3, 2. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pixel Related Podcast. I just want to point out that this show already fell off the rails before we even technically started the show.
I mean, would you expect anything less?
No, I wouldn't expect anything less. Episode 33. We've been gone for a couple of weeks, as we do. If you're still listening to this, you're used to this by now. But we got some good games to talk about. There's some January games that came out within the last couple of weeks. We got Resident Evil 7. We got Yakuza. Adam had a whole thing where he got a PlayStation 4 Pro. And
I got a 4K TV.
4K. I keep wanting to say HD. He just got his first HT TV, you guys. He's been running on a 27-inch big box up to now. So there's a couple things we're going to talk about. We're just going to go ahead and dive right into it. But first, we need to introduce ourselves. As always, I am your host, Kyle. We also have Adam.
I mean, look, the Pixel Resist podcast. Is that what we want to? I think that's what we maybe should consider naming this thing.
We're not going to. Nope. Video games. We talk about video games. Is it related to pixels? Then we're going to talk about it.
I mean, soon enough it might be, because they're going to start passing a bunch of bullshit with internet regulations and shit like that.
And then we'll have to go underground and record from an international waters boat and broadcasts. Well, we got plans. So
we won't be allowed back though if we do that.
I mean, I'll be allowed.
That is true.
I don't know about you guys.
Oh, that's racist. Just because I'm a Mexican?
You guys have
well, I mean that's not on us. That's not on us.
I'm a Mexican American.
Oh, and then that is Gus, of course.
What's up, people?
So I want to hear about this first. Adam just gave us a nice, lovely story about how Best Buy messed everything up with his order. That's not important enough to be on a podcast per se, but although it was entertaining. Adam, I want to more hear about the fact that you just dove right in.
I did.
You got 4K HDR. You got the PlayStation 4 Pro. You're the real.
I did.
Gamer
Yeah, I'm the truest of the gamers.
Truest. For sure.
Fake. I'm podcasting with a bunch of fake gamer girls.
Fuck off.
I just like to pose. Oh, look at me with my controller. I'm on Call of Duties, you guys.
If you're licking the controller, that's how I know you're a true gamer. Yeah, I kind of went a little bit overboard. I'll just say I may have gone a bit too far in some places. So yeah, I bought a 4K TV and a PlayStation 4 Pro, kind of off of realizing that I've been kind of looking at maybe getting an upgrade for a little while, and just said fuck it, let's do it, let's go crazy with it. And then when I got the TV, it was like, well, what am I gonna do with the TV? Oh, that's right, I gotta buy something that's gonna actually support this thing. And I got a PlayStation 4 Pro, and I set the TV up today, actually. It is a big fucking 65-inch. It's goddamn beautiful. It is a thing that makes me consistently worried, because it is fucking paper thin. It's so thin. It's so crazy how thin these things have gotten. It is incredible. I set it up today. I finished Resident Evil 7 on that. It looks great. Also, a thing that apparently I didn't quite realize is now TV firmware is super important. Because if you really can't use HDR, as it turns out. I went in to try to use HDR on a bunch of stuff, and it's like, nope, you don't have HDR enabled. I'm like, I just paid a really large sum of money for this TV. I goddamn have HDR on this thing. I do. I'm gonna will it into existence if it doesn't. Uh, yeah, so I had to like update firmware and like all sorts of shit. But like TVs are so insane now. Like this remote that I have, it has a microphone built into it,
Sure.
so I can just like go like Amazon Video and just like it'll just search for the video that I'm looking for, or like it has all of this shit. Like it has GameFly built into it. It has PlayStation just built into the fucking thing.
Wow.
It has PlayStation Now.
I just
Yeah.
remembered that GameFly does some kind of streaming on live type thing.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it does. It has that thing. It has that shit just built in. Like I can use my TV remote to control my PlayStation menus. Like it is a goddamn crazy time to be alive. I kind of sat there for just a while, just in like stuns. Every time I would hit like a button and something changed, I'd be like, I cannot. How does this happen? How do I live in this fucking world? What the shit? It's so crazy. But yeah, I bought a PlayStation 4 Pro also, and you probably shouldn't buy one of those unless you got a 4K TV.
Yeah.
You really shouldn't.
That seems to be pretty straightforward. Yeah.
How much are those running for? If you don't mind me
400.
asking.
400.
So the original price of the PS4.
Yeah. So like the Pro, obviously, I got that obviously for this, but also because like I've kind of been getting really sick and tired of not having any space on my PS4 hard drive. Like I consistently have to deal with size management of stuff, like deleting files off. Like I can only have like 1 or 2 big games installed, and then I kind of have to start deleting. And every time there's an update, like Call of Duty, if I wanted to keep Call of Duty on here, and I wanted to play Modern Warfare, because remember, like Modern Warfare, you can't play unless you have the Call of Duty disc installed. It's like almost 100 gigabytes.
It's crazy.
And like Assassin's Creed Syndicate is sitting around like 60 gigabytes. Arkham Knight, I think, is the worst one, where it's like right now at about 70 gigs for if you have like all of the DLC with that game.
That's what Halo 5 on Xbox One is like that, because there's no DLC for that game, so they just add free stuff to it. Mm-hmm. And I want to say the total install size of my Halo 5 is like 98.5 gigabytes. Like it is just barely under 100 gigabytes. And every time I look at it, and I'm like, I haven't played Halo 5 in a while. Maybe I should clear up that space to put something else on. But I'm like, God, if I want to play Halo 5, I'll put back up. Like,
yeah. So like that like the first like day or so of having it and just being like, I am going to install all of this shit, and I'm just gonna see where my space is sitting. And I had to like get rid of like one disc-based game, but I have like Call of Duty, I have Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Arkham Knight, Final Fantasy 15, Destiny, like all of these games that I might play at some point, and I would like to just have the option to very easily get at that content on there, and I still have a little bit of wiggle room with it. So that space thing, I mean, that's the obvious thing that you're immediately noticing is space requirement. It becomes like almost a secondary concern.
But it's only 1 terabyte, right?
It's still only 1 terabyte, yeah, which is, you got to imagine that eventually that's going to be, I'm going to run into this problem again at some point.
Yeah.
But at least at this point, and for the next few years, hopefully, I cannot have to worry about that as much.
Well, you would think that on a 1 terabyte, with those decisions of what to delete will probably be easier than they might be if you only have half that space, right? Like,
right. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, okay. Yeah. Like I've done what I've done in Call of Duty 2 years later now. Like I can get or Arkham Knight. I could probably get rid of Arkham. You know, like those are
Yeah.
easier things to like when you're trying to choose between like, okay, like I didn't quite finish Final Fantasy 15, and I'll probably go back to Destiny at some point, and I'm still working on like that's where it becomes ugly.
Yeah, I think that is gonna be eventually the problem, but it does seem like when I'm looking at this list, it's like, okay, I can target like 3 or 4 of these that I can just get rid of. And I'm not really going to lose too much sleep over it. Like, the Arkham Knight one is such a pain in the ass because there's so many pieces of little just DLC. Like, here's the 1970s Robin costume, and that's its own thing, and that's like half a gigabyte. Or, you know, like, they have like some weird sizing issues with that DLC. So, I mean, it is definitely like a pain in the ass, but it seems more manageable. Like it's nice. I also went through the whole transfer process of it. It turns out I had to go through it twice because of some issues with Best Buy, but I did go through the actual transferring issue of taking my original PS4 and copying that data over, and that is. If you have a lot of stuff on your PlayStation 4, I would not recommend doing that. So you have to like connect them up, you know, over the same router, basically. Preferably if you're using 2 LAN cables for it. Unfortunately, the one thing that I couldn't get, you can't just do like a LAN to LAN connection. Like you can't just do a straight connection.
That's not a super fast way to do that.
It's really not. It's really not. So like the first night that I did it, I set it up and I'm like, all right, I'm going to just let this go with the current data that I have installed. How much is it going to take? How long is it going to take? And it's like 9 hours. I don't have a super stable internet connection because of my router. So I'm like, okay, 2 hours in, the whole thing fails. Like, oh my God. Had to reset my router. I let it run overnight, and I wake up the next morning, and it's like, it's failed. So, at that point, I just said, fuck it, scorched earth policy, and I just deleted everything except for PT
I bet you kept PT.
Off of my console, and that was like a half an hour transfer. But that was like save files, capture data, themes, like all that shit transferred over, PT transferred over, which was great. Because you know you cannot actually download that thing anymore, and yeah, it's. But then that also meant that like the next day it was like, okay, I'm gonna sit here at these menus and I'm gonna hit install on all of these things, and I'm just gonna let the fucker run for 2 days and we'll see what happens. And then at the end of the 2 days, it's like, oh, also I need to put the discs in so that I can get those installed. And I have to let the discs, and I can't just let the discs go because if it's something like Titanfall, you have to keep it in there while it reads the entire disc. And yeah, it was not super fun. I wouldn't recommend you do that. But I mean, like, obviously, like the end benefit of that is that now I have all of this extra space. It's running in 4K resolution, which is great. It seems like it's frustrating because there is no easy way to be like, this content has full PlayStation Pro support. And okay, what does this title mean when it says it has PlayStation Pro support? What does that equal out to? That's one of the more frustrating parts of it, especially because you have to like go into Digital Foundry and watch videos and be like, okay, well, this game, it has Pro support, it got a Pro patch, but it's not running natively in 4K, and it's got some checkerboarding issues with it. So, no, I'm not going to buy NAC. There's a debate that I had before I bought this. So it's like, I could just buy NAC. It's like $5 at this point. And my girlfriend's like, are you really going to ever play NAC ever? And I'm like, well, good point. But yeah, so like that is super frustrating that there's not just a part of the store that's like, hey, you have a Pro. Here's all the stuff that has Pro support, and here's what that means. It's a bit of a clusterfuck at this point.
Yeah, no, well, we've talked about that, about just kind of they have a poor way as of right now of kind of what exactly are you doing to it, or even like what do you want to do to it, like because there's some games out there, isn't it? It was like Tomb Raider. There's some games out there that are like you can choose what you want to do. Like, do you want to have it locked at 60 and at a lower resolution? Do you want to have it locked at 30 and play in 4K? Like, yeah. Like, there's some games that kind of give you a little bit of choice, or games that kind of just do. It's
Final Fantasy 15 is like that as well, where it's like you can go in and choose, do you want to have the light option or do you want to have the high option? It's like, what the fuck does that even mean? You're not explaining what any of this bullshit means at all. You're just saying it, you know? It's a mess. And again, like, with everything being so unclear with it, like Overwatch has a PlayStation Pro thing, for Christ's sake, and all that it does, they're like, it tweaks the UI so it works a little bit better with 4K. It's like, great, fucking great. What's the point of that? You know,
really?
You can slap the Pro logo onto it. Yeah, it's a mess at this point. That said, when you're actually looking at some of the ones that are obviously like they put a lot of work into it, it shows. It's like I played a little bit of Infamous First Light, and god damn, that game looks pretty. Like, it looks really good in 4K. The HDR with it being on, just the neon pops really well. The like shading and the shadows and stuff. It looks phenomenal. But again, that's all stuff that you have to like go onto Digital Foundry to find out exactly what it does. I know, like, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, like that's another reason that I actually have that installed, is because that has that support, and I'm kind of looking to see what exactly that is. Right. And then the other game that has 4K Pro support that I played, Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good segue right there.
Well, it was until
it's a good segue.
Now.
I don't give a shit.
So
I don't give a shit. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so I just wanted to say, I talked about this I posted this on Twitter. I went through kind of a similar experience which you did. I just bought a 512 gigabyte SSD for my PC. And I kind of went through that whole thing where I'm like,
I saw that.
I can just download all of the games and just have, like, I'm not doing this weird thing. And I'm like, I don't know, are you good enough to be on my SSD, or are you going to be on a regular hard drive?
I saw you did that, and I was like, oh, that must feel so nice. Oh.
Because I built this computer, I don't know, 6 years ago? I don't remember how long ago. I built this computer a while ago, and so like I bought like 128 gigabyte SSD for probably like $400 or something like that. And that was like, it was good enough to like run Windows, and then I could and then like all the rest of my apps, and then I could have like one really big game. And for the past couple months, that one game has been Hitman, which is a good game because the loading times on that are not great, so it's a good game to have on SSD. Yeah. And now it's just like I could just have all of this stuff.
I just put it all there.
I downloaded Witcher, and I'm like, I'm gonna play Witcher at some point, and it's gonna be all on the SSD, and I don't have to mess with it. When downloaded like Diablo and Hitman, and it's a very freeing thing to not have to worry about making those decisions.
One other thing with the 4K, if you get anything with a 4K, make sure you're getting the HDMI 2.0 cables. Because those are the only thing that actually can output 4K.
Yeah.
Found that out. Also, last thing on it, if you happen to have a PlayStation VR that you have hooked up, they have a totally fucking unacceptable solution for this bullshit. Where
I've heard about this. Yeah.
The breakout box, you have to disconnect the breakout box from the PlayStation. Like, you cannot have that breakout box as the midpoint between, because normally how it works is you have your PlayStation has an HDMI cable into the breakout box then has an HDMI cable out to your TV. That doesn't work at all. Like, it just does not, it will not let you run that in like 4K HDR. Like,
Yeah, I think
it
it's
doesn't.
the HDR part. I think
It's
is
the
what messes
HDR.
that
That's
up,
what it is. Yeah, yeah. Which that's totally unfucking acceptable. Like that's such a bad solution for that. Yeah, that I definitely had like a good solid half an hour where I'm like, why is this not? What the hell is happening here? Why won't this let me do the thing that I want it to? And it's like, oh, it's because fuck me. Fuck me. I bought a PlayStation VR, right?
Yeah. How
Sony.
dare you? How
Yeah, I
dare
know.
you?
I know. I know.
Well, hey. So speaking of
Speaking of
PlayStation
PlayStation
VR,
VR,
Resident Evil 7
There you go.
is
Boom.
like the
Double.
first thing. Like everyone, I don't. You have to talk about Resident Evil 7 just in general, but I also want to hear. I don't know if you got a chance to check it out in VR.
yeah, I played it for like an hour and a half or
'Cause
so in
people,
VR.
like a lot of people are going crazy about how good the VR is just implemented in Resident Evil 7 as like the first full game, like actual real game.
Yeah, it's like the first like big AAA one. It's also like kind of the first one that I guess it's the first AAA VR game that like has been made in the period when people were starting to understand what to do right with VR. So the VR was actually really good. I'll say I did get like a headache because of the kind of discomfort of just sitting there with the headset on for that long. So I did eventually just disconnect it, but I think it's actually really good if you're playing it on easier difficulty. So how the VR works is you can move with your left stick forward, backward, side, and then the right stick. You can actually set to different degrees of motion. So you're turning your head, like by default, it's like by 30 degrees every time you click the stick left or right. You can change that to like be, I think, as granular as like 10% or as non-granular as like 90 or 180%. So, or 180 degrees, sorry. So you like click a stick and you're turned around completely. It works really well. Like it never got too the turning on it never got too discomforting. It never got so bad that I felt like I'm gonna get sick from this, which was one of the problems that I had with like how what was that one? The Let It Die, not Let It Die. Here They Lie. Here They Lie like had a really bad sense of motion with it because it would just kind of blink, and when you would turn, it would just blink you out of the world, and that's really disorienting. So it works really well. The head tracking is the best way to do aiming in this game because there's a lot of combat in this game,
Right.
and the head tracking works like perfectly. If you are just aiming at an enemy's head, you're pretty much gonna hit that spot consistently. And when you're actually playing the game normally, it's not quite there. It's got enough of there's enough of a little, it's just enough of that, like, oh, it might be off by just a little bit, so you're gonna miss. The head tracking shooting works great. Like it's phenomenal. The big problem I would say that people would have with it are when you get into really combat heavy sections that require you to, I'm going to run forward and then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to shoot and then I'm going to run backwards and then I'm going to try to get away and get to a safe spot. That's where I was starting to have issues with it. Because you can get flanked by some really tough enemies in this game if you're playing it on like the normal difficulty. So it's very easy to get like, they will just be right in your face and you can't, like, you're just not prepared to deal with it in that way. Like it becomes too much, I found. But the sections where you're not doing combat are incredible. Even though it does take a pretty heavy hit on visual fidelity, it looks pretty bad. Like the intro where you are walking up to the house, it looks like it is on a PC on like the low settings, where like the foliage is just like, it's just like the two flat images of a bush, and they are crisscrossed in the middle, and they are very blurry, and it looks pretty bad. When you're in like more confined spaces, like in the house, it looks good. It looks really good. The hand stuff is a little bit weird. So there's a lot of scenes where you will get like knocked down and you'll have like an enemy right in your face, and they disconnect your hands. So at certain points, you just have these disembodied hands that are punching at this character, trying to get them to like not be on top of you anymore. That's a little bit distracting.
Is that because they're not in control of the camera like they would if you were just playing it normally, right?
Yeah. Like it's not like right, like you would be if you were playing this game normally, you would see the full arms. You wouldn't have little Rayman hands going on, Like that's just what happens. It's like I have these invisible arms and there's these hands that I'm punching this person with, and it's this weird disconnect that kind of gets a little bit distracting at certain parts. But yeah, there's a lot of good spots in that game where you're not being chased. You're in like a puzzle section where if you just walk around, it's super creepy. And even some of the moments where you are being stalked by something are very tense. They're super tense because you're just like, I know something is going to get me. Something is going to pop out behind this wall, and it's going to fuck my shit up severely. And especially if you're playing it with like headphones on, like I was. That was bad. That was a bad decision on my part. Because my girlfriend would just be like kind of sitting there like, and I would be hearing the game. I would be hearing like whispers, and then I would be hearing in the background. And I'm like, what the fuck is that shit? What is happening here? So it's super tense. It's an incredible experience. I think for a lot of people, it's going to be a bit much for them, just because even without the VR, there's a lot of sections of that game that are super tense, and the VR kind of adds a whole other level of bullshit you have to deal with. And I think for a lot of people, that is not going to be the way they want to play it. And that's fine. That's super fine, because even without that VR, it's an incredible fucking game. Like I just finished it today, and goddamn, that is a hell of a game.
Who do you play as? I know nothing about Resident Evil. Like, are these like new characters, or is this like
your guy?
So you are your character Ethan. Receives the game starts with a message that he has received from his girlfriend. He's kind of like looking over an old video of her being like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm on this babysitting job. I am, doing fine. I'll see you really soon." And then she just disappeared for 3 years. And
Jesus.
One day he just gets a video of her just saying, "Do not try to find me. I am dead to you. Do not come looking for me at all." And then he gets a mysterious message that's like, "I'm here. Please come and get me." And that's like it. That's like the entirety of the message. And so you go down to Louisiana. The intro is straight up True Detective season 1, like the big aerial shots of like the swamp and bayou and shit like that. So it feels like it is just you're getting into the thick of it.
Can I say that this sounds like Silent Hill? This sounds like a description of a Silent Hill game to me, but continue.
So it's not. So there are definitely Silent Hill elements, and I can't go into that without kind of spoiling some stuff. There are Silent Hill elements of it. where there are some psychological things that happen, where something is kind of fucking with you. Another outside force is messing with your perceptions. But it's a lot less of that, and it's a lot more. You are going into this abandoned house. You are finding super fucked up stuff. Like, it is straight up Resident Evil 1 in a lot of ways.
Yeah, the video I saw was like, hey, there's this thing, there's a door. It's missing these 3 dog head plaques. So you have to go throughout the house and find these plaques.
Find the 3 dog heads.
And put on the door, and then the door will open. Like, that's straight up Resident Evil 1.
Yeah. There's like a lot of puzzles where it's like, you found this thing, and there's a pedestal, and you have to put the thing on the pedestal and then rotate it in a specific way to make a shadow to open a door. Like, it's very much I heard it described as it's the Resident Evil 1 Spencer Mansion by way of homesteading. Like, it feels like this was somebody's homestead that just got built out over the years. But also it was maybe made by crazy people who like have a really odd choice for architecture, and even the ending thing that they kind of reveal with it doesn't explain why this guy is like in 1990 something. Like, yeah, I want to build a shadow puzzle to open up a door there. Like, that'll be handy. Like, it never tries to explain that stuff. But it is super. It is very much a Resident Evil 1, but in first person. So you are encountering. You don't encounter zombies. The creatures within this game, there's like one in the demo. They're called the Molded. They're not a great enemy. They're very much a generic blob of stuff. You know, they're just kind of a generic blob with sharp teeth. And those characters are never really interesting, but the real star of this thing is the Baker family itself. So, I'm sure you guys have seen that first trailer where they show them at the dinner table, and they're like having this big feast, and it's like entrails and bugs and shit. That's kind of the theme throughout the entire game, is these people are fucking crazy. The real star of it is Jack, who is the father character. In the demo, he's the guy who's like, "Welcome to the family, son," and he punches you in the head. And there's Marguerite, who is the mother, who is just a bug lady. That's kind of her deal. She just likes bugs a lot, and she kind of actually gives like the most gimmicky stuff with the VR, where it's like, I have bugs, they're gonna fly right in your face. Woo! You know, that sort of thing. And there is Lucas, who is just fucking Jigsaw, and it's great. He has Jigsaw-esque puzzles that he puts throughout the house, and it's really cool. It's really cool because you have to kind of think about how you solve them. They're all very like eccentric and really, I think, like as memorable as like Wesker got with all of his crazy shit. I mean, Wesker is the poster child of that series for a reason, like because of how just crazy he would go, and the Bakers rival that. Like they are on that same level of let's get crazy, let's get nuts, you know. They're really well designed. So you're in this house, and there's some shit going on. These people are infected with something. The game eventually kind of makes it clear like what's going on with that, but it really does feel like you are exploring the Spencer Mansion again. which is something that the series has needed for a really long time. It's something they've always been willing to reference. They're always willing to reference Resident Evil 1 or put out a remake of it or have a DLC for Resident Evil 5 that is, hey, we're back in a place that's kind of like the Spencer Mansion. They were always willing to reference it, but kind of since 4, they have been very heavily pushing the shoot. You know, like you have to go and you have to shoot the zombie, and especially with like 5 and beyond, it became a co-op shooter. And I think we've talked about this before. I'm not a big fan of Resident Evil 5 because I played that game single player, and when you play that game single player, it's kind of terrible. Sheva's AI is not great, and I think that even beyond that, it's not the thing that I've been looking for with Resident Evil. And obviously 6 is its own pile of garbage.
Yes, it is.
It's terrible. But I think that what they did here is they realized that, like, yeah, Resident Evil 6 sold a lot of copies, but that's not really going to keep this series going. And like this franchise has a history of like every 3 games they kind of change it up a bit. So like 1, 2, and 3 are kind of similar in a lot of regards. Same sort of action. You get graphical improvements, but really it's the same thing. You know, just different locations. 4, 5, and 6 really concentrating on that shooting. Even though 4 had some amount of survival stuff with it, it's still pretty light. This feels like this is like them kicking off something else with this series in a really interesting way. Really well written. The actual gameplay of it, you know, you are limited on your ammo in a lot of places. So I had like a lot of instances where I would accumulate ammo for like the first few hours of the game. I just got a ton of shotgun ammo, and I didn't have a shotgun at all. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but cool. And then like you eventually hit one of the boss fights, and it's like I just used up all of that ammo, and I am super screwed. And unless I can kill something with my handgun, we're gonna have some issues. So it does have like a very heavy survival element to it, and you can like expand out your storage so you're holding more stuff. You do have like a limited amount though, so you can eventually get things like there's a grenade launcher, which I don't know why these people just have a grenade launcher sitting around their house, or a flamethrower, which is really a weird part. But like picking those up is going to limit the amount of space that you have for ammo for that stuff or for healing items. So it's like you can be really strong, but you had better make sure that like you're going to kill them with a couple of hits with this stuff, because otherwise it's useless to have it. I really like this game. I really like this game, and I finished it today, and man, being a fan of this series, holy shit, the stuff they do at the end is kind of crazy.
So they do ultimately do some stuff to tie it into the greater Resident Evil world. Because everything I've seen about it seems like it is a brand new, like almost like a reboot of sorts.
Yeah. No, it's not.
I know it's not. The way it looks from front.
Right. I'll say that one of the things that like was kind of the moment that I realized like, oh, this is definitely not that, because they do have like, you find a picture of the Arklay Mountains in this mansion, and it's like, oh, okay, you're just referencing that, so that's the thing. As a Resident Evil fan, I know. And then at one point, there's literally just a paper that's like, it's been 16 years since the Raccoon City incident. And it's like, oh, okay, so this is literally another game in the franchise. And there's some shit that happens at the end. So without spoiling anything, post credits, there is a thing at the end of this that's like, there's going to be a free DLC in a couple months for this game, and it's going to star somebody who is only at the end of the game. and I'm like, because of the things that they say, the things that they set up at the end of this game, I really want to see what that DLC is. And it's free, so that's super cool. Yeah, I love this game. Like, it's so weird to be able to say that I love a Resident Evil game. Because, man, like, I liked Revelations. I didn't like Revelations 2 as much. After the first episode of that, because that was their episodic experiment, I didn't necessarily care for that. The best Resident Evil games that have come out are like the light gun shooter games that they put out for the Wii and for the PS3. And that's been about it. Like, really, I was not playing my PlayStation. I didn't have a PlayStation 2 or GameCube at 4 when 4 came out. So I never played 4 until like the PS3 re-release came out. And by that point there had been better games that dealt with that stuff. So the novelty of that, like I had played some of it. I had played enough of it to kind of know like what they were doing with it. But I never finished it. So like the last Resident Evil game that I played in full, like to the very, well, I guess I did play through 5, but the last good Resident Evil game, last Resident Evil game that I enjoyed was probably 3. Like proper new Nemesis, because Nemesis is just like, it's so good. Like the first time you're like, I go into a save room, I'm safe, and then the Nemesis bursts through the wall, and you're like, oh shit, and it's great. It's great. I love it. And that's like a weird black sheep because like not a lot of people like that one, which is weird. But anyways, yeah, well, Resident Evil 7 is so good. It's that's
a very uncomfortable thing to have something constantly hunting you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what this game is also.
So, sort of.
Not as constant, obviously, but gosh.
There are. So generally, before the boss fight areas, you'll like go into a new area, and that area will be, there's somebody in here. You know, one of the bakers will be stalking this area, and you can't really do anything against them. So you kind of have to push your way through them, because you do move faster than them. When they like anytime they try to attack, they always have like a swing back, so you can get around them. But if you don't, they will murder you like real bad, real bad. And then like when you get into the boss fights are really inventive. There is one, I think it's like the second boss fight, where you are in a garage and there's a car in there, and you can grab the keys, get in the car, and just start running over this motherfucker just like a million times. But if you don't, they will get in the car and they will try to run your ass over. And it's really cool. Like, it's like I didn't even know that was a possibility when I was playing it. Afterwards, I was kind of watching some footage. It's like, oh, that's a thing that can happen there? That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I love Resident Evil 7. I'm gonna do a review for it. It's so good, man. It's been tough to love Resident Evil for a while. so like the fact that like I grew up playing these games and I loved them, and then they got real bad, was really tough for me for a while. It's sort of like the Final Fantasy problem, right? Of like, Final Fantasy had a really long stretch where it wasn't good. We've had the Lightning Returns discussion before, but like I did not like 13 and 15. Like, it's so weird. Like, Final Fantasy is back, Resident Evil's back, Metal Gear has fucking zombies in it. So like 2 out of 3 on my PlayStation PlayStation 1 favorites are back in good form, but
I mean, we just had Phantom Pain.
we did. Yeah, Resident Evil 7, incredible.
I can't make my mind up about Resident Evil 7 because I am kind of a baby when it comes to video games. But the game looks really good. But then I watch videos of the main guy running around chasing you with like a giant, like what it looked like. It looked like a giant paint roller with spikes sticking out of it.
Yeah.
And he's like just like constantly stalking you and sneaking up behind. Like, that's just
he's stalking you with a hand plow, and he will stab you with it. Yeah, he will stab you with it.
I don't know. I just don't know if I can handle that game, but it looks so good. How indicative is the demo of does demo give you a really good idea of what the vibe of the game is?
So
no.
So here's the problem with the demo. For me, the demo, it ended up in my Game of the Year list because it was different. It's the tape that is in that game, that is in that demo, does show up in the game. So that is similar. There are those tapes around, but there's a lot more combat in the full game.
Yeah.
The demo kind of only has one thing that you're fighting, and you only get one gun. So it is kind of tough, I think, to gauge what your power level is, because it does you start out very weak in this game. There's very few options you get. They have a point at the beginning of the game where you lose all of your items, and after you're like, I'm in a comfortable spot. I know what I can do with these items. I've just gone through a fight with them. They take them all away, and you have to start getting them back. It is definitely a tense game. I will say that, which is similar to the atmosphere of the demo, but I think that the demo did a bad job of explaining that there is a lot of combat in the game, to the point where at the end of the game, I was just like, there's a part of the game where it's like, fight off this huge wave of enemies. I was like, no, I'm just going to run through them. I'm not even going to deal with this bullshit, because at this point it's going to be a waste of my ammo and time. But that said, like, you kill an enemy and they're gone forever. They don't regenerate. If you ever go into an area and you're fighting an enemy that you fought in that area, it's generally because they've changed their forms a little bit. So it's more combat heavy, I would definitely say, than what the demo provided. The other part of it that is not... The demo had this air of mystery to it, with the whole, like, different updates, the dummy finger thing. Like, there was, eventually, with the demo, became a thing very similar to PT, where it's like, I'm going to this area, I am using this dummy hand to point to this spot in the environment, which is triggering this laugh, and then I can go to this another area and I will trigger this other thing. That stuff doesn't exist in the full game, at least to my knowledge. That stuff's not there at all. It's very much like traditional Resident Evil puzzling.
Puzzles, yeah.
If that stuff is there, it's really well hidden, which, while it's cool, it does not... I think that the demo doesn't end up being indicative of what that full game feels like. I actually think it's less scary than the first time you go through the demo, because you learn very quickly, like, here's what I can do, here's my abilities, here's the weapons I have. Okay, go. So I think that the demo did... It sold me on it, but in retrospect, the game they were trying to sell with that demo is not necessarily the same game.
Yeah.
It's still a good game, still a fantastic game, but it is different.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Give it a rental.
I'm still thinking about it.
I think you could Redbox. You think you could Redbox it, and then like once you get past, I'll say this: once you get to the point where you are at that dinner table, which is actually pretty early in the game, there is some stuff that happens right after that, and once you are through that area, you'll know how you feel about the game, whether you want to keep playing it or not.
Okay, yeah, I probably should. You are speaking very highly of it, and other people have spoken highly about it as well. Probably should check it out. I don't know. Gus, I mean, how do you feel about Resident Evil nowadays?
I'm thinking of giving this one a rental. I didn't really like 5, even though I played it co-op with one of my buddies. It was still I don't know. 5 and 6 were pretty bad, and
Yeah.
I really liked the first one when it came out. No, actually, the first one I didn't play it till the GameCube remaster.
The remake, yeah.
Yeah, that's me too. Yeah, that's how I played Resident Evil. That's my really only real experience with Resident Evil is that first Resident Evil game. I didn't play Nemesis because of what I heard about that game. Because that sounded bad.
I picked up a Dreamcast, and I played Nemesis on the Dreamcast. So I went through all of them. But yeah, no, I mean, I like the early stuff, but yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of giving this a rental. I don't know if I'll Gamefly it or Redbox it, but I should at least try it out.
I think it is. I think it is worth checking it out, if only because it's a really just good game. Like, it's a really well made game. It's a big budget horror game, which you don't see a lot of. You do see your Outlasts or your Amnesias, or which, while they might have a decent budget for an independent title, it's not Capcom funding it. It's not Capcom being like, "Hey, we have this franchise, we have this whole history." And I think for you guys, you might get a little bit of that nostalgia thing at the end, where it's like, this thing happens. But for me, having played, God, have I played them all to some degree? I think I've played them all to some degree. It was a moment of like, what the fuck is happening? What the shit is going on here? But it's also so loose to the rest of that story that you can just play it as its own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I think that's a perfect way to do that. Like, you can be a hardcore fan, or you can be somebody who has maybe never played the game, or maybe only played 1 or 2 of them, and you get a similar experience no matter what.
Well, yeah, because a lot of it's separated from the main Resident Evil lore, just because of the setting of it and the characters in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's Resident Evil 7.
Cool.
It is available on everything, which is kind of weird considering all the emphasis on like the PlayStation VR and all that stuff. It's on Xbox One Play Anywhere, where if you buy it digitally on Xbox One, they give you a Windows 10 version of the game for free.
Yeah.
Which is
That's
really weird.
So weird, because Dead Rising 4 wasn't like that.
It's weird.
That's so weird to me.
And it's not an Xbox exclusive or anything like that. So, Resident Evil 7. Yeah, Resident Evil 6 was just awful. I did check that one out, and that game was like, wow,
terrible. It's
so
incredibly. It's and the point I think has been made, like, by other people. Well, those games are the best selling. Like, Resident Evil 6 is like the best selling Resident Evil game, but it's like, also,
that just means a lot of people got duped. Like,
exactly. That's also, you could also say that, like, the video game population, the population of people who, like, are playing these games has grown in that franchise's history since, like, the original one the original Resident Evil, which didn't even have DualShock at the beginning of it. Like they had to re-release the original Resident Evil to have DualShock support for it. Like that's how old this franchise is.
Yeah. I remember when they announced Resident Evil 6 because we were still doing the podcast. We were doing one of the podcasts I've done at this. I don't remember which one it was, and we were excited for it because those original trailers and what they were talking about, it sounded really good, and it sounded really interesting. And they were all lies. 100%. But
It's so crazy to get to the point that they've gotten with it, and I am really glad that they did this. Not just as like a long-term fan of the series, but also it's just a really good horror game, and we get those every so often. Like, you know, Outlast was a really good example of one of those. But like in the big budget sense, you know, like many developers.
I could think of was The Evil Within, which I didn't play, but it didn't get great reviews.
And it wasn't even really that much of a survival horror game. Like it was, I think of that game more in terms of like a Resident Evil 4 or a Resident Evil 5.
Was it?
Like it's not the same, you know, which is so weird because I think that had Shinji Mikami working on it.
Yeah,
which
if I remember right.
ironically was like the guy who, you know, originated Resident Evil, and it still wasn't great though. So yeah, I could talk about this game all day. So we need to move on. We need to move on.
Let's push off there. The other big game, maybe there's not a whole lot that comes out in January, but another big game that you have been playing a lot and I have also been playing is Yakuza 0.
Yeah.
So I have never played any of the Yakuza games. They've always looked interesting. Like my outside perspective of them is that they looked kind of like modern era Shenmue games, and in a sense. So Yakuza 0, from my understanding of your review, is that they're like rebooting the series in a sense, or retelling some of that story over the course of this year through 3 different games.
So it actually, I was corrected. It's 2 games this year, and then there's another game at the start of next year. So it's technically it's going to probably be around a year. They're not really retelling it. So Yakuza 0.
This is a prequel, right? I mean, this is a prequel to what was going on in the other games.
Yeah. So Yakuza 0 is a total prequel to the rest of the series. Then there's going to be Yakuza Kiwami, which it's a kind of HD remake of the original Yakuza game.
Okay.
But it's also, they have changed story stuff with that, and they've changed like how the game plays. Yakuza is such a weird series. Like they've always had these issues until it seems like now, oddly enough, of being released in the West. Like Yakuza 0 came out, I think, in 2014 in Japan.
Really?
So yeah, it's taken a very long time to localize. With good reason. There's a good reason. Like there's a lot of shit to localize here. Yakuza is a very Japanese game series, as it turns out.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think I said in the review, I don't know if any of you remember when the first Yakuza came out. They really tried to push it as this is Grand Theft Auto, but in Japan. And look, we've got Michael Madsen doing voice work for it. We've got Eliza Dushku. We've got Mark Hamill doing voice work for it. And it's totally not that. It's totally not. I'm in the same boat as you, Kyle. I never played a Yakuza game. I've played the demos for them. I know ancillary knowledge about them. But I've never actually dove into one until this one. Man, I wish somebody would have told me. Really wish somebody would have told me how good these games are. Holy shit.
I feel like there's a big amount of people that have enjoyed them, but it's just always been one of those series that for whatever reason I've just never dabbled in.
Yeah, people seem to enjoy them. but again, it's always been a very niche thing. So I think I kind of pointed this out to you guys, but I'm glad that we got a review code for this because I think that means they want this one to succeed. Yakuza has had like this really rocky history of and look, I'm not saying that we're gonna make this game super successful. You guys, we're gonna sell this game to everybody.
Basically, yeah.
But they are obviously trying to reach out to everybody to get people to cover it, which I haven't seen Sega ever do. Ever. In the years that I have been covering and speaking, even before when I was speaking with PR people, I never saw Sega push a game quite like the last one I can think of was Aliens Colonial Marines. That didn't work out too well for them. But this is kind of their first big push for this series, and it seems really smart to push this one. Because you don't need to play any of the other ones to know what's going on here.
I mean, you literally do not, because it is a prequel. It is
exactly,
zero.
exactly. You don't need to have that information of like, okay, this character and this character. Eventually, this guy is running an orphanage, but he's also working the Yakuza shit on the side. So my fiance has a degree in Japanese, and we tried to download like the Japanese Yakuza 6 demo, and it was just impenetrable. It's so like there's all of this talk. There's like a whole, like I said, there is a sub story within that game about him running a orphanage. So at that point, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. This is all impenetrable to me. Let's try to go over to the Sega arcade and see what's over there. Oh, I can't do that. Okay, well, this demo is garbage.
So I'll just say,
yeah.
Yakuza 0 is like, it's really interesting to me. I know very little about. I've never been to Japan. I've never, like I'm not a world traveler or anything like that. This is it's very interesting to kind of see this kind of stylized, heightened version of Japanese culture. I was kind of talking about this with you guys kind of before. Like there is some like straight up like culture barriers in this game with like the way that they're talking to each other, the way they're addressing each other, the like hostess clubs and stuff. Because this game is actually set in like the mid '80s, in addition to being set in Japan, where so it is so foreign, but I should say at least I hope it's hyper stylized because the game is weird as fuck. Like it's super weird.
Yeah, it's hyper stylized, but it's also I think important to note that this period of Japanese history, it's very real. The 1988 when this game is set, it was during the height of the Japanese economic bubble. So like the fact that there are people who are like, yeah, I'll spend 100,000 yen on champagne. It's fine. We got all this money. Like that's very real because everybody was making money at that point in that culture. And then a couple of years later, that shit came collapsing down. So it is. Look, I'll put it like this. To my knowledge, there has never been in Japan a super shy dominatrix who asks a guy who's working from the Yakuza to help her become more aggressive so that she can get her clients to be more submissive. I don't think that's ever happened. I can't quite fact check that, but I'm pretty sure.
Hey, they always say that most fiction is based on reality in some way, so I mean...
I'm guessing. At one point, so I think I called that out pretty well. That's my favorite point in this game. And I did the video that I did. It was like an hour of me just going through like side story stuff. the video, there is a point in this quest where it's like this dominatrix asks you to help her to become more aggressive, to get these clients to like her more. And at one point, you're just in a public park and you're saying things like, okay, well, you know, if you really want your client to be happy, you need to like ignore them or like call them pig or say that you're going to step on them with their heels. And there's just a group of kids who are just sitting there watching this whole thing unfold this entire time. And it's incredible.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's so incredible.
That's a little awkward part of that. And that's
that's a crime. I'm like 90% sure that's the most real crime in this game.
And that whole side story, and unless there's more parts to it other than that main part that I played, is only like 15 minutes, maybe not even that. And there's a lot of tiny little things like that.
Yeah.
The actual game, I'm only on I'm like midway through chapter 5. I want to say there's like 16 chapters. Like it's a decent like game. It's you're following two different guys, which I knew that there was two different guys after reading your review, but the game doesn't really telegraph that at all. You kind of play through the first two chapters as Kiryu, and then it just switches over to this other guy, and I didn't know who he was. I knew he had an eye patch from the opening cinematic of the menu screen. And his introduction is insane because he's a cabaret owner who gets into a confrontation with a guy who gets a little handsy with one of the girls, and he's like groveling on his hands and knees saying the customer is king while also casually avoiding these guys' attacks so that he falls and hurts himself and makes him having to pay for everyone's drinks that night. Like this game is just crazy. Like the game is just absolutely crazy.
They don't sell that part of it, which I think is maybe not to the game's benefit in a weird way. Like which I think like that's part of the problem that I was expressing with like them trying to sell this as, hey, this game is a lot like Grand Theft Auto. It does a disservice to like what they're going for. It's not Grand Theft Auto. It's this very cheesy beat 'em up brawler sort of game, which again, like, you wouldn't know that this game is a brawler just from like looking at it. It's such a weird game. But I think it's like incredible, and it definitely made me go like I have to go back and play these games, because like PlayStation Plus, I think I technically own like 3 other ones of these games because of PlayStation Plus that I've just never played. Yeah, on the PS3. There's a mission in this game where you have to help a pop star named Miracle Johnson. You have to help him film his zombie music video, but he wants it to be really realistic, so he like has like actual zombies like actual people like dressed as zombies trying to attack him, because it has to feel right. You can't fake that. And so you have to like defend this idiot while he's just moonwalking through town from these people dressed up in zombie outfits. And like, if I wouldn't have known the series and they're like, great, we'll never have to deal with zombies ever again, I wouldn't realize that that's like a direct reference to like the zombie game that they had. Also, this series has a zombie game, so that's a thing. I
forgot that was the thing.
Yeah.
So I will say, to the point, like I said, I'm probably like a third of the way through the game at this point. The combat, I'm waiting for the combat to get more nuanced. Does it get like, because right now I feel like, so each character has 3 different styles, and it feels pretty clear to me that both of them have one main style that is the best. Yeah. And that the other ones are kind of there maybe in certain situations. But then I'm kind of just like, I have like one or two like set combos that are really good, especially the breakdancing one where you kind of just end up on your hands kicking over and over and over again. Like I feel like there's not a whole lot of depth to it. It kind of like I found some things that work really well, and that's kind of all I'm doing. battles now.
So eventually, and it's a thing that I kind of wish was maybe explained a little bit better. Is eventually, have you started doing any of the side business stuff?
No, I think I'm about to get into that. I just started
Okay.
doing the real estate. Like, I'm about to go talk to the real estate guy.
Yeah. Once you start getting into that, so like at this point, so right now as we're talking, I'm just letting my money collect, because I have like I'm getting around just shy of like 1 billion yen every 4 or 5 minutes, which then you feed into your upgrade system.
Right.
And you do eventually get like eventually all of those styles work pretty well. Like Kiryu, his like beast style, which is like the really heavy weapon style. It actually becomes super easy to use that when you first start out with it. It's really slow and clunky, and you're like, why would I ever want to play in this style? Eventually, like right now, that's the style that I'm using primarily because just all of his attacks are like, if I punch you 2 times, you're out. And once you get into like chapter 6, you also get an ability. It doesn't work as well as it should, but you get an ability where you meet a character and he's like, look, sometimes money is just it's easier to just throw money at a situation than to fight it. So press the square button and you'll throw out a couple thousand yen, and that will distract. Like if you get into that period where you're like, I see the things flashing on screen where somebody has recognized me, they want to come over and kick my ass, I hit the square button and that should distract them. It's still not a perfect solution because I think that those fights, at the point that I'm at, those fights do not matter. The amount of money that I'm getting from them is so minimal that it's kind of pointless.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Even at the point where I'm at, like those fights don't really matter. Like most of those fights, net you like 100 to 300,000 yen, and I need like 15 million yen to do any more upgrades or anything like that. So it's
right. Yeah, and that's where like the whole business side of all of this comes into play. Is
right.
Like as you like open up the business stuff, you start making enough money to do all of those upgrades. And if you're like me, I'm just sitting here just waiting for my money to accrue. And that's all that I'm going to do here. While maybe I watch something on TV and I flip between that. Like you can make that money really easily, and the combat kind of becomes an afterthought. Which is cool, but then there's also those set points where you have to fight.
Well, I was gonna say, my favorite point of the game so far has been that very first boss fight in Chapter 1 against was it Kazu, I think his name was, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that fight was awesome. Like that was super fun. It was kind of difficult, but it kind of made you focus more on, on dashing out of the way and striking. Like that was a super cool fight, and that guy, like kind of the way that fight plays out is kind of crazy. And I kind of like that was a very simplified fight, and then the next big fight I got into with another singular boss was kind of just the same thing. Like, and so like I'm wondering if the combat's really going to get anywhere.
I don't think that it does.
Okay, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying the overall story, and like a lot of the side missions are kind of crazy, but they're interesting. But yeah,
I've done like all of this, like all of the side stories that I can. Let me see. Like right now, I'm sitting at 50 out of 60 of Kazuma's side stories I've completed, and the only ones that I really haven't, I think I have to wait for more stuff to unlock. So I mean, I've put 60 hours into this game, but there's a lot of idling time as well. But I'll say the combat has been such a minimal part of this game to me. Like so much of it is I'm going to this person and I'm trying to help this guy put together this crossword puzzle to get, make his girlfriend realize that he wants to propose to him or things like that.
And they're all presented through basically you get 3 responses on screen. And like they test how much you're paying attention, because the whole game's in Japanese, so there's a lot of reading involved. Which and then how much you're paying attention. You got to pick the right answer, or you got to pick the answer that fits the situation. I had to look up on Google what sauce phase was, because I've never heard that term before in my life.
Yes, I had never heard that either. And yeah, my girlfriend who had studied Japanese was like, I don't know what the hell that means. I've never heard that term. So like it seems like there's like shoulder phone. I had never heard of one of those big phones referred to as a shoulder phone.
Yeah, I got that one wrong. Yep.
Yeah.
But so I'm saying, so there's it's interesting though, just kind of being in this world of kind of like you're getting kind of a peek at a different type of culture that is just very not the same as what we live day to day, and that is super. Even though it is kind of a stylized, weird version of it, it's really interesting to experience. Yeah, I guess I'm stuck wishing that there was maybe a little bit more to the combat, but if the combat kind of gets sidelined, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and I know like once you hit like chapter 6, that opens up like the whole cabaret club thing for Majima. Eventually, they do like also they do give you the ability to share item boxes, and you can just send your money over between your characters, which you can't do normally. So like all of the money that I'm making off of this real estate thing, I could theoretically just send over to Goro Majima and from Kiryu and be good, pretty much, Yeah, there's also a new game plus mode with this. That clown guy who's by the upgrade station.
Yeah,
apparently
he gives you stuff that you can't use until you play it again.
Yeah,
kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing everything, so I ain't gonna be doing that. Yeah,
that's weird. Yakuza 0 is weird, but it is the good kind of weird. Like it's enjoyable. It's an enjoyable experience for sure. Like hey, yeah. I'm gonna go through and play the whole thing because it's definitely entertaining.
Yeah, it's definitely that sort of thing also where it's like I would have wished I would have known about this stuff. Like I wish I would have known about this series. I do have like minor complaints here and there about some of the side story stuff where it's like, hey, scored 5,000 points on Outrun, and it's like, well, Outrun's a terrible game, so I don't want to do that. Outrun's terrible.
Yeah,
but
damn it, I got every one of the little stuffed animals for that little girl out of the UFO catcher. So
definitely had a moment where I realized I was ruined for all the other cats when she kept calling, when that little child kept saying the word daddy. I'm like, don't say that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
I guess there's also like just a straight up reference to Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged in that game, which I didn't know about, which is great. Where just characters like, screw the rules, I have money. And it's like, that's so cool. That you guys are so cool. Kazuma, you're so cool.
I don't understand that reference, but okay.
Okay.
It's Yu-Gi-Oh!
You should watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, that's Yakuza 0. That's only on PS4, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that entire series has been pretty much exclusively PlayStation up to this point. So.
But I was gonna say, so I mean, the thing that I kind of said, like I thought it was kind of like a newer version of Shenmue, and that's kind of what it is. It doesn't have a lot of the Shenmue had some kind of weird like go through your house and find this stuff and put it in here. There's like little like puzzle-y like go around and talk to people elements. It doesn't have that, but it is kind of a living-ish version of downtown Japan. With combat and stuff like that intermixing there. Kind of feels kind of like a modern day Shenmue with less asking people where sailors are, though.
Less forklifts. I mean
that's to its detriment, though. To be perfectly honest, forklifts. So the only other thing that as far as new games I wanted to talk about is I don't know if you guys have checked that out. They've had a couple different betas, but I played the For Honor beta over the weekend. Went in and dove into that. For Honor is it is 3 different factions. It's the samurai, it's the knights, and it's the Vikings, and it's kind of a MOBA's not the right word for it. It's like domination, but there's mobs to deal with. So you play on like the main thing of it is 4-on-4. So you pick your main guy. I picked Viking most of the time because I'm Scandinavian and that's just me. But basically it's 4-on-4, but it's kind of like a MOBA where there are heroes and then there are little guys running around the level as well. And the goal is to get to a point. There's an A, B, and a C. You know, A is on their side, C is on your side, B is right in the center. And you have to capture those points to earn points for your team. And then eventually when it gets to a certain point, you can get to the point where the enemies can stop respawning, then you can just kill them all, and then you can win the game. The game is super interesting, though, because the whole point of it is they're doing this kind of like rock, paper, scissors-y combat when you actually get locked up with another hero character, where you have your main weapon and you have the right stick, you either point it up, you point it down to the left or down to the right, and where you're aiming your weapon is where you attack, also where you parry if they are attacking you in the same place. So you're kind of playing this like cat and mouse thing where you kind of have to watch their animation as well as kind of their character. So like at the last second, press up so that you block that way, or hold it to the side and they know they can't attack there. Like, it's really interesting. It's I don't know if it's gonna have a ton of depth to it. It's got like a whole thing of like you level up each character individually, and in the beta there was 9 different characters, 3 in each like faction, and they all had different uses. Like the Viking, the one that I was playing with, was kind of good at clearing out the little guys so that your forces can kind of go up and capture the point better. Where like my buddy was playing and he was a samurai, and his samurai was basically good at just taking down heroes. So he would run up, get right in there, and just like he played it a lot more than I had, and he was kind of wrecking shop. But the game, a lot of it's from what I've seen, so is like if you get outnumbered, where if you are engaged with one hero and another person comes up, basically you're screwed. Like, it's really hard to take down 2 guys at once because you got to not only pay attention to the guy that you're focusing on to block him, but you also have to be paying attention to the other guy who's attacking you, and you can move your direction to block that guy as well. It's really fun though. Like, it's really fun. Like,
how big are the maps on this? Like, so are you like constantly running into those heroes, or
yes, you're constantly running into those heroes. The maps are very small. Okay. It's like to run from like point A to point B will take you like 10 seconds at most.
Oh wow! Wow!
Like the maps. There was only, I want to say 3 maps in the beta. The maps are all complex, so it's like they're usually point A and point B were a little bit of ways from the center, but up on a certain like type of path. So you had to take a path to go up there, or take a ladder to get up there, or whatever it was. So like it was like a little bit out of the way, but the maps are small enough that you're basically like, if you respawn, you just dive right into the action. But it's a type of thing like in a MOBA where if you do die, and you're gonna die, like you get like a 12 or 15 second timer before you can come back. So you're so like killing the enemy heroes is the time for your forces to push forward and take that spot. It also has this really interesting mechanic where I think it's all up to get to like 1,000 points for your team. When your team gets to 1,000 points, the other team gets put into sudden death, which means if they die, they don't respawn. And then if you wipe all 4 of them, then it's over and then you win. But they could also come back from that, though, which is really interesting. So like if they go and they take a point that you had, you lose 100 points and they gain 100 points. So if you fall under 1,000, then it's back to normal. So we had matches where we were way ahead and got them into sudden death, and then like we killed one of the guys, and then they managed to come back, take a point or take 2 points, and then we were back to like, oh, it's like 750 to 650, and now we're pretty much even. Like it can kind of bounce back and forth like that. It's a really interesting game. And like I said, I don't know necessarily how much depth. Like it's got this whole. I don't know if it's going to be microtransactions based, but looks like it could be. Where you are getting points and you are opening loot boxes essentially that are giving you gear. And the gear is based on what level that character is, and that gives you, this is a level 5 helm, or this is, like there's all kinds of like customization that goes into your guys.
So is that stuff okay? So that stuff is like not just cosmetic stuff. That is stuff that like can improve your character. Ooh.
Yeah, it improves the character. It didn't seem like from what I was unlocking during the beta weekend, it didn't seem like it was any necessarily significant increases. So like you go into the match and it's 4-on-4, and you see all the characters facing each other, and it says kind of what the gear score is. So like I had a gear score of, you start off, you have a gear score of 1 or 0 or whatever, and then as you get more gear and higher level gear, it goes up and it's like 12 and 14 and whatever. And there was like guys on the other team who were like gear score 44, and I don't feel like we were just getting rolled over or anything like that. So I think it's minimal things. I think it's more about customizing how you want to play, because the gear is not just like, oh, this is just better across the board. It would be, oh, this is giving you a slightly better attack power, but now you are worse at blocking, or you revive your teammates faster, but you don't run as faster. There was all like
give and take.
Minuses. So I don't know if it would not necessarily get unbalanced or anything like that. But it also could be not microtransactions at all, and it could just be completely randomized like gear drops too. Like I don't know that for sure.
I mean, I think if this is a Ubisoft game, I think you can be pretty sure that the worst case scenario is going to be the correct answer.
Probably. But no, I just think the base model of what was in that game is really interesting and really entertaining. They also have this entire other weird thing where when you start off the game, you pick a faction to be your team, and then as you do good stuff in the game, you get forces that you can put towards this kind of three-way like battle, like overall like world battle, where like your team is going to take over territory from the other groups, and that goes for a several weeks or 2 months or something like that. And then depending on whose side wins, you get different rewards based on the other ones for getting second place or third place or whatever. Just kind of weird like meta game put on top of everything else. There's other games that have done stuff like this that I can't think of. There's one not that long ago that did something like this, and I can't think of what it is. Where you were kind of earning points for your side as you do things. God, what was it? I don't remember. That seems kind of weird and interesting. But the actual like base game is super fun to play. Like the kind of, like I said, like the rock paper scissors of like you're getting locked in with a guy, and like you can tell like right away like have I been playing this game more? Or has this guy been playing more? Because a couple times I just got absolutely decimated. And I watched my buddy. We got down to the point where we three of us were dead to the point where we couldn't respawn, and the other team was also in that point because if the match goes on long enough, even if you lose like 100 points here or there, you're still over 1,000. And he was down 4-1, and I watched him just decimate the enemy team like one by one, all by himself. And I was just like, okay, so there is a lot of skill that is into this game, and a lot of like what character did you select. That's kind of shows you what role you're supposed to play. Like, are you going to be fast, just trying to get to the points and then get out of there? Are you going to be for clearing out the NPC enemies or whatever? Like, it seems like a really cool game. There's supposed to be like an overall campaign and stuff like that. Game 2 that wasn't in the beta at all. This was just a multiplayer beta. That's super interesting. Did any of you guys ever get a chance? Like, this is like the third beta they've done for this game. I never checked any of the previous ones.
I think
I always seem to miss it.
Yeah, I think I had signed up to get like the emails about it, and then it's like too late by the time that I get them.
Yeah, I think it's over by now. I want to say it.
I
ended
believe so.
yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super cool. Like I wanted to check it out because I think it always sounded good. It didn't sound like my type of game. But it's really interesting. Like it's a very different multiplayer than anything else that I have played, just because of the kind of MOBA-esque, like the little guys you have to kill, as well as fighting off the actual heroes. And you get to do some pretty sweet executions too if you time the timing right. You can just cut people's heads off and stuff like that. And that's always cool. That's always fun.
When does that come out? Does that come out in like February? I feel like it's close.
I think that comes out on Valentine's Day. I think it comes out in 2 weeks.
Oh wow.
Wow.
It was supposed to, because I think it was supposed to be like Persona and For Honor were coming out at the same time, and then Persona got pushed back. So, yeah, I mean, cool. It's interesting. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up, but I will at the very least rent it because it has sold me that much.
Cool.
I kind of have a love-hate relationship with multiplayer games. Where really the only one I love is Overwatch. Because Overwatch is great. But that might be enough to swing me to get in the second one into my rotation. But yeah,
cool.
So I think that pretty much wraps up everything that we're going to talk about today. There's only one little tidbit of news that I thought was really interesting, and this kind of came out of an announcement that was made. What was it, last Thursday, right? With the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like Wednesday. Yeah. It's like Wednesday. Square came out and was like, "Hey, we're gonna have a really big announcement tomorrow at 11 o'clock." And then Marvel, completely separate, was like, "We're gonna have some cool stuff tomorrow at 11 o'clock." And people were like, "Wait a second, these are at the same time." And people were going real low key. They were like, "Oh, they're gonna announce that Marvel stuff is in Kingdom Hearts 3." And I'm like, that feels like they would not be going to all this trouble to make these separate announcements if it was just Kingdom Hearts 3 stuff. Like, I hope that Marvel stuff is in Kingdom Hearts 3. But, so no, actually it comes out that Marvel and Square Enix are working together to make real, actual games. Like,
yeah.
It's been a long, Marvel is this huge, giant thing with the, biggest, highest grossing movies every year, pretty much. And it's been forever since they've had a game. 6 years since they've had a game.
To be fair, in a lot of those cases, that was for the best. Like, that Iron Man 2 game, not great.
I always heard okay things. I always heard okay things about the Captain America game that came out around the same time that that first movie came out. I heard that it was okay.
It was all right. I actually played that game.
I think that's the last time that they tried to make an actual AAA Marvel game. There's a lot of iOS Battle of Heroes, blah blah blah, nonsense out there. Marvel Puzzle Quest, which I love, here and there. So it's really exciting that they're going to be doing this. But not only they're going to be doing this, but they got great teams working on these stuff.
Yeah,
they got
Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah, they got Crystal Dynamics, the Rise of the Tomb Raider people working on some type of Marvel.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, okay, all right, let's do it. Yeah.
So it just makes sense. It's so exciting to me that because when Disney came out and said that they were basically not making games anymore,
right,
and they were just going to license everything out. I mean, a lot of people got really excited for that idea. And other than we haven't really seen anything besides that Battlefront game, and there is more Star Wars stuff coming out. But we'd never really heard anything about any of the other Disney properties.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm just so excited of the prospect of playing
licensed games.
A good licensed game, and hope they don't mess it up. I mean, Batman did it, right? I mean, Batman did it beautifully.
But Batman was kind of the only one, though, that did it right. I mean, really, that's kind of been it.
Yeah, but they did 3.5 of them.
3.5.
Well, I mean, yeah, one studio that did that though.
Yeah,
like,
no, I know what you're saying. They also there's there's more than just those two as well. It's because isn't the Deus Ex Eidos Montreal is also working together with Crystal Dynamics, or are they working on 2 separate games?
well,
I'm trying
the
to remember
Deus
how that
the
was.
Deus Ex people, they are not working on Deus Ex anymore. So, I mean,
Wait, what? Did they come out and say
don't.
that?
Yeah. No, the Deus Ex series is on hiatus now, officially.
Okay. Well, I mean, yes, because they are working on this. It was the understanding I thought. Not that they are. Yeah. Which is fine because it's not like.
I mean
it's
that
not like,
that seems like it's a good excuse for it, but I'm gonna say it's probably not the reason. That's. I mean, just it sucks, but we're probably never gonna see the second half of that game.
oh, it's right. It's not like it ended in like a big question marks or leading on to other stories or anything like that.
Right,
So.
like no, everything was answered. Everything made perfect sense. They weren't trying to set anything else up. It's fine. It's fine, you guys. It's fine.
Yeah. So this is a cool thing. Yeah. So they got Crystal Dynamics. They got Eidos Montreal working on what they're calling the Avengers Project. Is what they're doing right now. And basically, we won't hear anything again for at least another year. So
Yeah.
It's just exciting. Because was it the Infinite War movie is coming out next year, right? The
Infinite.
Infinite.
Infinity War.
Whatever,
War.
that's what I meant.
I thought you were talking about the Call of Duty. I'm like, wait, when?
Yeah, Infinity War. That's supposed to come out next, like May or something like that.
Probably
right?
next May. Yeah.
Hey, if I hope that they don't do the license thing and try to push a game out before it is time. But that would seem like a good idea to have something available around the same time if it's good. If it's not good, then just push it back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited because I love all of the Marvel stuff. I love the Marvel movies, and if they can come up with some type of good video game version of that, which I think is going to be tough. I don't think that's as easy as even as making a Batman game, for example, because Batman is just his one guy doing his one thing.
Yeah.
How do you make an Avengers movie where you have to come up with some type of mechanics for Iron Man, as well as having some type of mechanics for Hulk? And then, like, Hawkeye is, like, I don't know how you do that.
Okay, so what if... Okay, I have this idea, this crazy idea. Okay, so what if you could have, like, 4 of them as a team all at once?
Okay.
And you had, like, RPG elements to it.
Okay.
And you can just hit something on the D-pad and it'll just switch to that character, or you can play it multiplayer with your friends, and you can just have the entire Marvel catalog represented in there in a really comic booky style way that doesn't necessarily need to be tied into a movie.
I think that could be really, really cool. I would certainly love to see them bring some type of game like that.
Yeah,
I
I can't think of any other game that's been like that though.
I get the feeling that they're probably thinking something grander than that. As cool as Marvel Ultimate Alliance was, I think that after 4 games in that style, I don't know where necessarily you go from there. Plus, those X-Men games were better than the Marvel ones, anyways. So,
well, the second one was. I mean, the order is X-Men Legends 2, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, X-Men Legends 1, and then Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2.
Really? Oh man!
Yeah.
I love that first X-Men Legends game. Like,
I did not. I was not a huge fan. Like, I went back to that after I played 2, and it was like it's just such a more stripped down version of that game. Like in 2, you just had so many more customization options for like creating your version of that character. It's like I can make my headcanon version of like Phoenix or some shit like that, you know.
Yeah.
One that just wrecks shop. But yeah, like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 is terrible. It's a terrible game. It's garbage. It's garbage.
But anyways, I think especially if you're putting like Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, I get the feeling that they're going for something grander and more story based than that. And like I said, I don't know what that game looks like, but I'm super curious of what that game looks like. But I don't think that's an easy feat to try to meld all that together. Or maybe I mean, they're calling it the Avengers Project, so it seems like that's what they'd be aiming at. Maybe it would be a smarter idea to kind of start something slightly smaller scale and then expand out from there. Heck, we're supposed to get that Spider-Man game this year.
This year, yeah.
And
Insomniac.
Yeah, and the stuff.
Insomniac. Wait a minute. I can tie this all in. Insomniac Games. Yesterday, big announcement about their opinions about certain things that are going on in this world. Boom.
All right, right back
there
to
we
the
go.
beginning. Okay. The Pixel Resistance podcast. Got it.
Yes. You get it. You get it.
And now we're related to Pixels. Okay, you did. You fulfilled my criteria.
Yep.
All right. I think it's time for us to get out of here. As always,
the man's coming for us.
We got it. We gotta get out of here before they track our signal, track our IPs.
It's coming for me.
I mean, anyway, at Pixel-related.
Just gonna ignore that one, huh?
Yep. Just move right past that. Anyways, pixel-related.net. That is us. If you want to give us some feedback, and you're listening to this, we could love reviews. iTunes is the best place to leave us a review. That would be really cool. You can always shoot us an email if you want to. Pixel-related or feedback at pixel-related.net. Or all three of us are also on Twitter. That's where we do most of our communication with the outside world from our underground bunker in the in the middle of the ocean. Is that how that works? I don't know how that works. Anyways,
we do it from one of these 3 countries that. Okay, you know what? Nope.
Three countries? What?
Yeah, one of these 3 countries that isn't blocked because somebody has certain business holdings there.
That's right. We're all Canadian, anyways. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm there. I can. It's like a 3-hour drive for me. I'm good.
All right,
I've been there. It's beautiful.
All right. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time.